Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach, the podcast for instructional technology coaches. We are here today to help you guys create an amazing program in your school district, and we can't wait to see all the great things that you guys are doing this year. I have a fantastic program in today. Today, we're going to be talking about you and your schedule, specifically how you guys are working with your teachers this year, how you guys are scheduling yourselves with these teachers. And I have a great guest all the way from the amazing country of Israel talking today about how you guys can create a great system that is going to be hands-off but hands-on for your teachers. And we're going to be working with you guys all this year to help you be as effective as possible in the classroom. I want to remind you guys before we get into our show that we have a brand new Ask the Tech Coach website that we spent a lot of time this summer working on. If you guys go to askthetechcoach.com, you're going to find all of our lesson plans, our podcasts, our blog posts, everything that you need to be successful this year, all in one location. So check that out over on askthetechcoach.com. We can't wait to see you guys and see what you guys are working on in the classroom this year. Now, before we get started, I want to start today with a question for you. Are you keeping yourself busy? I know that's a silly question. It's the summertime. You just got done July. We're getting into August. But seriously, guys, are you keeping yourself busy? And what are you getting yourself busy in as we get prepared for the summertime? I know for myself, I am thinking ahead. I'm thinking about all of my teachers, and I'm thinking about what are the best ways for my teachers to reach out to me. And that is why I am so excited to bring on my guest today from Israel, Nachum Kligman, from a great company called Book Like a Boss. Nachum, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am awesome, Jeff. Thank you so much. What an incredible intro. I can't believe you have that memorized. That's awesome. You definitely, it's all in the head, right?
It's all in the head, and it's all for tech coaches out there. Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Nachum Kligman?
I guess if you had to use one word, it would be entrepreneur. That's just how I've been born and bred. That's how I was raised. My whole life, ever since grade school, shoveling snow, selling baseball cards, having a candy locker in high school, started a bunch of companies, had already had an exit, had some successes, some failures, but Book Like a Boss is by far my grandest project to date. I have a lot to do with teachers. I had many of them over the years. My father was a teacher at Bronx Science. Those of you who know the educational system probably heard of Bronx Science. My father was a principal there for about 20 years, and he was a teacher there. He was a student there. My grandfather was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My wife was a teacher. So I come from a long family of teachers, and I love tech. So I think this is like the perfect podcast for me.
Now, we've been talking all about entrepreneurship, building businesses all year on many of our TeacherCast podcasts. And I want you guys to start the year off as a technology coach, thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur. I want you guys to think of yourselves in your school districts as business people, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about this today. Your clients are your teachers. Your commodity is the information that you are sharing, and not only what you're sharing, but how you're sharing it. All the information from today's show is going to be found over on askthetechcoach.com. This is going to be episode number 58, and we are calling it Book Yourself Like a Boss. Now, Nachum, I have been a big fan of your product, Book Like a Boss, for years. I use it on TeacherCast to help get connected with my clients, to help schedule the mastermind meetings. Talk to us a little bit about what is Book Like a Boss and why is it important?
Fantastic. So Book Like a Boss is a easy to use software that makes it simple to book appointments, to make meetings. And, how it really separates itself from any other program out there is that today, and actually always, people sell to people, and people like to work with people they know, like, and trust. And what we do is we don't just give you a calendar, we give you a full web page, sort of like a cross between Facebook and LinkedIn, where you could have a video, where you could have photos, where you could have testimonials, frequently asked questions. This way people get a good feel of who they're connecting with. And that makes the actual booking, the actual connection, the actual meeting already breaks the ice. It makes it easier for people to converse with each other And we built it in a way that you don't have to be a technologist to use this program. We saw, and we're in over 100 countries, we're in 6 languages, and we saw that, people around the world are looking for a simple, easy way to connect and book meetings, book appointments. And that's really what Book Like a Boss does. We make it simple, give you a full web page with everything you need.
And, today we're going to be coming at it from that point of view of being a technology coach in a district. Maybe you have multiple schools, maybe you have multiple grade levels that you're working with. How do you connect with your teachers? Do you use a Google Doc? Do you use a system like a Google Form? Are you using Book Like a Boss? And there's plenty of other systems out there for teachers to automatically reach out to you. And today we're really going to be talking about all of that stuff in general. But, you said that you have teachers in your background, in your family, and I got to ask you the question here. Should teachers, or specifically should technology coaches, people that are making their living off of this, being a service to their district, should we be looking at each other as entrepreneurs?
That's a great question. And I think the answer is yes. I think whenever you're selling something, you're automatically an entrepreneur, whether it's education or it's tech. If you're in sales, if you're selling something, even if it's just if you're educating a student, you're selling something, you're selling the knowledge. Right? So if you're in the business of selling something, then you are, in fact, an entrepreneur of sorts. Right? Entrepreneurship is not just about making money. It's about using your knowledge and using your ideas and using your vision to make change in this world. And I think every one of your listeners are involved in that.
And I see so many tech coaches out there having success because they see themselves as that business owner of their program. And so, we've talked over the summer about using things like email marketing effectively. Today, we're talking about using your calendar effectively. Now, let's get into this a little bit because it really is thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur, and it really is building that brand. I mean, so many teachers can either come to you as a tech coach or they can do a Google search. And if they can't find you, if you're not available, or if you're not making your resources easily available, they might go just do that Google search. They might go to that teacher across the hall and ask that question rather than coming to you. How can we do this better? How can we make ourselves available to our teachers in a way that's easy? Because I've seen simple contact forms. I've seen extremely difficult using contact forms. How can we make ourselves available to our teachers the easiest way possible so that way they want to come back to us over and over again?
So again, that's the beauty of what we do at Book Like a Boss or with any system is that you want to make it simple for people to connect with you. I know if I have to call a teacher for one of my kids, and I don't have an easy way to connect, so I always say, oh my gosh, when's the right time to connect with them? When do you think they're available? Is it too late to call at 10 o'clock? What if they don't appreciate it? What if they prefer I call them in the morning? I don't know, and I wish, and it does me a favor as a parent to fully understand when they're available. And also I'd like to learn a little bit more about the teacher. A lot of times, I have a lot of kids. I have 8 kids, right? That's a lot of teachers, with all those kids. I don't always get to have that personal connection. So to be able to come to a system where I could learn a little bit more about the teacher, where I could sort of break that ice and also let me know when it's a good time to contact them, is fantastic. Plus, we're all so busy in our lives. Whether you're a teacher, a technologist, or an entrepreneur, today we're busier than ever, right? So what happens if you do a booking and then you forget about it? So you need a system that actually sends out reminders, SMS reminders, email reminders to both parties, to yourself even, right? But also to your clients or to the people you're connecting with so that you don't forget about the meetings that you booked. And that's super important because, if you don't get those reminders, you could miss out on 30% or more of the bookings. People just forget they're so busy with their lives. So you want something that's simple. You want to show when you're available, and you want to make it easy for people to be able to book you in under a minute.
And that's so important. When I started as a technology coach, I started using Google Forms. And the nice thing about a Google form, of course, is that anybody who fills it out, it goes into a spreadsheet. And then you can use that spreadsheet data however you want. But the problem is it doesn't take that extra step to actually go into your calendar. And I know, guys, you're out there saying, oh, I could use an add-on and I could do this and I could make it work for me. And who's got the time for that? Let's be honest. It's the beginning of August. We have a month, or at least some of us have a few weeks, but many of us have at least a month to go before school starts. What are we going to do between now and then to make this as easy as possible? Because we really I believe you only have one opportunity as the school year starts to make that first impression and to say, this is how you find me and this is how the process works.
Exactly. And you want to make it, you don't want to have to go back and forth, especially with a lot of teachers going back and forth. Everybody's busy. If you can just send them one simple link, this is how we connect, right? And there is actual a way for them to contact you without calling, without booking time. There is a contact form built in, also very easy. And you can put links to your LinkedIn page or to other things and put more information about you so that you really simplify the process. And go ahead.
One of the things that I want to talk to you today about is how to make things look easy, but at the same time, how to make things look enticing. Because when we as tech coaches who are trying to find a way to communicate what our value is to the teachers, we put up a form and it says, find me, fill in this information, hit submit. But I often find that we don't actually take the time to create the value proposition. And that's a term that most people don't understand in the education world because they're not in that business background. I've started to rework all of my contact forms, not just to say fill in your name, your email, and time, and building, and submit. It's here's what I can do for you. So that way, even if you come to the website, maybe that first couple days in the year, and you're kind of looking like, who is this person? What does a tech coach do? It says right there on the website somewhere, here are the things that I can do for you. Here are the ways that I can take some pressure off. Here are the ways that I can work with you. Talk to us a little bit about what a value proposition is and how can we build maybe a website, even beyond the traditional form, but how do we build a website to actually show off and showcase what we can do for a teacher so that way 3 months from now when someone's going, I need something, they know exactly where to go and what to do.
Absolutely. So obviously you want to stick out and be different. You don't want to be like everyone else. One of the ways to do that is by utilizing video, show your personality, do something different, try to stick out, but also, show people don't want to hear about how good you are. Yeah, you could put your degrees or your educational stuff on a page, and you could have testimonials, and testimonials are very important. We'll talk about that more in a second. But people, when they come, they want to hear how you could help them because everybody has pain. Everybody wants to make their lives easier, save time, save money, or save their lives, right? So if you can save somebody, so when you're speaking, when you have that first minute of interaction, when they're coming to your page or to your website or anything that you're doing, you want to speak their language, and they want to hear how you're going to help them, not how great you are, not how many users you have, not how many customers you have. They want to know how you're going to help them. So when you speak to them directly, right? Don't speak in general, speak to the person, speak to a teacher. And try to figure out what is it that a teacher wants to hear. What are the pain points teachers have? And if you could quickly give them the solution to the pain points that they're having, then they're going to remember you and they're going to stick with you and they're going to try you. Another way is to make it very simple is whether it's on a website or any other medium, have testimonials. If you've helped other teachers, there's nothing more powerful than having a teacher create a video for you saying, I use this guy. He was absolutely awesome. This is how it helped me be a better teacher. Yeah. You get 3, 4, 5 of those and you're gold. You can post them on social media. You can post them on your LinkedIn page. You can post them in the bottom of an email with a link. That stuff is gold. So I would definitely look to do that as well.
So what could that be? Like I'm envisioning, like for many tech coaches, we make a Google site or we make a page on a learning management system. That could be easily a quick statement of what you are, what you're doing, and maybe your social proof, as we call it. Maybe that is, hey, I worked with Mrs. Smith, and here are the things that Mrs. Smith did. Look at how great she is. And remember, we never want to say, look at how great I am. We say, look at what Mrs. Smith is doing. Maybe
I had Mrs. Smith, by the way. Second grade.
Maybe
we all.
Yes, we all did. Maybe putting some links to those different things and really enticing them to go, look, if Mrs. Smith is doing this and if Mrs. Smith is saying some great things here, I'll try that too. Because really what you're doing, that teacher's either going to find you or they're going to find Mrs. Smith and go, how did Jeff do? How did you guys work together? Should I go do this myself?
Right. So, I mean, again, I hate to keep talking about the beauty of Book Like a Boss, but that is what we do. We give you a full web page. So we give you a full web page where you can put a video whether it's video testimonials or video about yourself. You could put photos, you can put testimonials. So you can put what people have said about you and how all the teachers are using you. And you don't need, we actually have many people that use us as their only website. They don't need any other website.
I've seen that.
It's all about focusing on what the desired action is. And if the desired action is in using you, is in booking a time or booking a meeting with you, then that's actually how our software was. It's optimized to get you that booking and to give your teacher everything they need to know about you in order to realize that, yeah, this is somebody I want to get a 15-minute free call with, and then maybe upgrade to what it is you're actually selling and how you can help them.
Now, anybody that's looking for more information here can go over to booklikeaboss.com. They do have a great trial that you can certainly sign up for. And if you are interested in doing that, we would love to know from you guys what you're doing and how you're doing it. Please reach out to us over on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach. And if we want, maybe we'll set up a hashtag TechCoachLikeABoss, and we'll see what we can do here. But I would love to have you guys give us some ideas of how you guys are using it. What software are you guys using for connecting with your teachers now? Nachum, the question always comes, what happens when a teacher or your client doesn't use your system? Right now, we're suggesting tech coaches spend not a lot of time, but it takes 5 or 6 minutes to set up a system like this, whether it be through a Google form, a site, or a Book Like a Boss, something like that. What happens when that request comes in and they're not using your preferred system? I'll give you the multiple choice here. A, you write them back screaming at them saying, you didn't do it right. B, you fill out the form for them. Or C, you don't say anything and you just go about your way. Or is there a D?
So, I would say it really depends on who your client is. If it's somebody you're going to be working with long-term and it's just going to become an issue every single time, then you're going to say, hey, by the way, the best way to connect, we're all busy. This is the system I use because that helps me perform at my best and helps me help you in the best way I can. So please use this link in order to book me. That way it gets into my calendar. It'll get into your calendar. We won't miss out on anything. And that's how I would do. I would gently sort of move them over. If it's a one-time thing, you're never going to hear from this customer again. You sell a one-time product, let's say, then I would say, you're not going to go back to them and say, hey, I'm only going to talk to you if you go through this system, right? So if it's a one-off, do it their way, customer's always right type of idea. If you're going to be working with them long-term, you do want to get them used to the system that you've set up. And the only other scenario is if it's somebody that can have a great impact, on your business. Meaning if it's somebody from that can lead to hundreds of more clients, or it's a famous person, an influencer, or something like that.
Your principal.
Your principal, exactly. Then you may want to beat to their drum and just say yes, I totally get it, and then maybe do a PS. Hey, here's a great way to really connect with me well, or whatever it is.
But I got to tell you, that's hard, from a personal point of view, when I'm working with companies and I'm trying to schedule guests and stuff like that, I got to be honest, when somebody sends me that email that says, book me here, it seems so easy.
Yeah.
I find I don't do it because I'm looking at that calendar and I'm going, I don't have our schedules aren't syncing here. Our schedules aren't syncing here. Let me go 3 weeks out. Our schedules aren't syncing here. And I just go, so isn't there that frustration of I can email somebody and maybe they'll get back to me with a quick question, or here's a blog post, here's a how to, maybe I don't need you to come out. Maybe I just need a little bit of quick love. On the other hand, what if our schedules aren't syncing up because you're in 6 other buildings and I'm over here and I only have this 20-minute window on a Wednesday and you're not available for me? How do we handle things, or how should we be working with our teachers if just schedules don't sync up the right way?
Yeah, listen, it's tough because if your schedules are not syncing up, then if you don't have any system in place, it's going to be murder for you because you're going to be going back and forth with multiple teachers on multiple days and trying to keep track of it. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. It's not a way to run your business. You have to ask yourself, hey, am I bringing value? If you're bringing value to the teachers, if you're there to help them, you're actually solving a pain point, then they're going to find a way to work with you because they have an interest. It's in their own best interest to just book you in the right way, or to work with you in the way that you prefer, whether it's a booking schedule or how you do email, or how you do back and forth, right? Because you have to set up your business. You're an entrepreneur, right? You're a business person. You have to set up your customers are teachers, right? You have to teach the teachers how to break out of their own boxes and how to work with other systems. Because you know what? As we go through the years, technology is becoming more and more in play, and you're actually doing them a favor by teaching them how to use these systems, because this is the way the world's starting to work now. This is where it's going, even, where it's going to be 20, 30 years from now, this is how it's going to be. Right? I remember when email came out, my mother was like, I'm never using email, Now she's never stopped using email. Then it was Facebook. And just like, I'm not going to use Facebook. Now she's always on Facebook, right? One of my biggest fans, right? So, they're going to have to get used to these systems and get used to working these ways, just because we have to work with efficiency. And I think that's something that teachers understand. I think it's something they'll come to appreciate.
Efficiency is certainly something that we discuss a lot here on the Ask the Tech Coach podcast. So many of us are in a system where we are full-time teachers and we have tech coach duties, or we are full-time tech coaches and we have multiple buildings. And it's always that running around with your head chopped off kind of an atmosphere here of how do we become more efficient. And, I don't want to be my own secretary, but at the same time, in order for me to succeed, I have to take at least an hour a day and be my own secretary. Well, if I'm taking an hour, how can I shrink that to at least maybe a half an hour? So that way I can be more productive, or at least maybe I can just sit down and breathe for a couple minutes during the day. We're all so busy.
Exactly. It's funny when I do meetings, I used to set up my calendar to do 30-minute or 60-minute meetings. Then I said, let me do 20-minute meetings. Because then when you do a 20-minute meeting, people know, he's going to make every 20 minutes count, and we're going to use that time more efficiently on both parties, right? So I switched from 30 minutes to 20 minutes. But also teachers understand themselves. They have 20 kids, 30 kids, 60 kids, how many kids that they're teaching, right? They understand themselves, that you have to work efficiently. There's no way you're going to be able to help all the students that you can, and especially the ones that need the most help, if you're not organized, right? If you don't have a system in place, then their kids are going to fall through the crack. And as a teacher, you never want that to happen, right? So it's the same thing with you and your business. You have to create a system that works best for you. And the people you're working with have to understand that this is the same thing, that how they want to work efficiently with their students is how you want to work efficiently yourself with them.
So let's do a little review here for everybody and talk about some of the things that we've already covered. Number one, I think it's important this year for tech coaches to think of themselves as entrepreneurs. Think of themselves as the business owner, and your product is your services, is your resources, is your knowledge. It's important to be thinking that everything that you do has to deal with brand building, finding people who like, know, and trust, because at the beginning of the school year, you're going to find those 3 or 4 or 6 people that want to work with you. And it's your job to find the 40, 50, 60 people that are going to be working with you to help you sustain and create that program. So think of yourself as a brand. Find that best way to use scheduling software, something like Book Like a Boss, where you can, of course, go over to booklikeaboss.com and you can find out how to do all this stuff efficiently. So not only are your teachers going to your tech coach site, filling out a form, getting it on your calendar, getting it on their calendar, but has something that's got a robust system with features that you can just sit back, relax, and let the work come in. Also using social proof. If you're working with a teacher, create that website, not just with a booking form, but also with ideas, with projects, with concepts that you can help somebody out. So that way, testimonials, it's one of those things, again, that I use during my presentations. I pull up the booking page or the contact page and I go, this is how you can work with me. And over here on the left side, this is what I've done for other teachers. If you're interested, check these things out and then fill out the form at the bottom of the page. Understanding that everybody that we talk to as our friend, as our teacher, but they're really our customers, right? Our customers speak to each other, and the best way to get more business running in our programs is to have good customer interaction with each other and really teaching our customers the value of what we can bring to them. I think all these things combined are going to help you guys out as tech coaches this year to create a great program, but don't take my word for it. I want to hear from you guys. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach and check out all the great resources over on askthetechcoach.com and figure out how you guys can tech coach like a boss this year. Nachum, I'll give you the last word here. Is there any advice that you have for tech coaches, whether they be new tech coaches starting for the first time, or anybody who's been in the tech coaching business for a few years that might even think they have a well-oiled machine that are looking for that extra leg up? What advice can you give these entrepreneurs for this coming school year?
So I'll give you advice, and it has to do with the theme behind our brand, something we call bossitude, right? I was once speaking to a coach, I think it was a life coach, and she said, "How do I get my customers to pay me on time?" I said, "I'll do the work, and then they'll take their time paying me." I said, "Charge them up front." And she said, "I can't charge them up front." I said, "Why not?" "Well, because then maybe they will move it." I said, "Here's your problem. As a coach, you think that you work for them. As a freelancer, you think you work for the person that's hiring you. But it's not true. You are their boss. You have to look at yourself as that you're the boss. You're bringing them value. You're helping them. And if they're not going to treat you well, if they're not going to pay you upfront, if you're not going to set that in stone from the beginning of the relationship, then yeah, people are going to walk all over you. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to walk away and have that bossitude."
It's a very amazing concept that you just mentioned. When we go into the grocery store and we want to buy some food, we pay before we leave the store. We don't pay after we make the dinner. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'll let that one hang a little bit.
No, but it's true. If my time is valuable, your time is valuable, Jeff, very valuable. All of your tech coaches, their time is valuable. If you don't show that you value your time, then why should your customer, right? So get paid up front when you're coaching somebody, right? And if they're not willing to, say, okay, no problem. Here's someone else that you could work with. And I always give, if someone can't afford my rates, right? Because I got into Book Like a Boss because I was a business coach. I was an entrepreneurial coach. And if people couldn't afford me, I would send them to someone else that's less expensive. If people don't want to pay me up front, have a nice day. I don't need you. I want to work with the people that sees the value in what I bring. Because you know what? If you don't show them the value, if you don't believe in yourself, they're not going to believe in you. And they're not going to listen to you. And then they're not going to hire you again. Right? So don't be afraid to charge a fair and good rate, and don't be afraid to ask for payment up front, or at least a down payment, and make sure that in the relationship it is you who are doing them the favor. It is a privilege for them to work with you. Always remember that.
Now, we are going to be continuing these conversations throughout the summertime. Upcoming shows are going to be including how does a tech coach create a niche business outside of the classroom. And we're going to be talking more about the whole client and payment, gateways, all these different things. We've got a great show that we're putting together. It's going to be recorded over the next few weeks. I'll let you guys know a little bit more about that. So if you guys have any questions about how to grow a consulting group, how to set up stuff outside of classroom, again, for things like payment gateways and teachers and working with school districts, I've got a great show for you for that. But we want to know what you guys want. If there's any topics that you guys are looking to learn, or if there's anything that's on your mind about technology coaching, please reach out to us over at feedback@teachercast.net, or go to just about any one of our TeacherCast pages. There is a contact form on the bottom. We want to know what you guys are looking to do this year. We want to know how to answer your questions. You guys are our clients, and we want to be a good service of you. Nachum, I'll give you one last hello, and again, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, again, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show, and so great to meet your audience. And you were talking about payment gateways, and one thing, people don't know this about Book Like a Boss, but we're not just a scheduling app. We actually allow you to take payments, so you can connect with PayPal, Stripe, or Square, and get paid for your coaching upfront. As a matter of fact, we have over 20,000 users, and a large majority are coaches and consultants of sorts. So I just want to throw that in, but I can't wait to hear more and follow you guys and follow more of your podcast and see what other people are doing out there. And have a great rest of the summer. Again, thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. And, I wish you the best of luck.
And of course, for more information, check them out over at booklikeaboss.com. I've been using the software now for a few years. It has been helping me stay successful. It has also been helping me work with clients and build all of that great stuff that we are doing here over on the TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. So that does it for episode number 58 of Ask the Tech Coach. We are just getting warmed up for the summertime, and we are looking forward to working with you guys. Don't forget to check out everything over at teachercast.net/mastermind, and we have a great program there for you as well. So on behalf of Nachum and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.